At Guitars Over Guns, we use music to unlock potential. 15 years ago, I had an experience at a juvenile detention center that changed my life. My band, Swendel, and I went to talk about music as a career. And we didn't really know what to expect, so you can imagine our surprise when we showed up and were warned that the guitars may be unsafe to bring in because the strings could be used to strangle us. Ultimately, we were allowed to bring our instruments in, and we walked into a room in front of about 25 young men and 2 guards. And I don't really remember the size of the room, but I remember the feeling of the distance between us and the students, even though they were only sitting a couple feet away. It was tense. And it was only made worse when everything we said seemed completely uninteresting. And then we played a song. And as we played, I watched the music creep in. And I watched crossed arms and cold stares turn into smirks and even some smiles, heads bobbing to the beat. It was like music was dismantling this wall that was invisible but so clearly between us, and helping to peel off the armor that they had carried in. And as I could tell that we were connecting with them, I could also tell that they were connecting with a deeper part of themselves. And as they let the music in, they allowed the joy to come out. As they let the music in, they let us in. And I still, to this day, 15 years later, remember being blown away at the depth and the honesty of the conversation that followed. The teacher that brought us in to speak couldn't believe it. These young men were opening up and telling us stories about things that they'd never shared with anyone. Music unlocks the courage to be vulnerable. And in that space where these young men felt safe enough to speak freely, we heard from boys that couldn't wait to tell their story and express themselves, but had never been asked. They'd been failed too many times by people that already assumed they knew their story. These same boys that we were warned were a threat to our safety ended up inspiring an organization that would go on to change thousands of lives. The reality is, every child has something unique and valuable to express. Imagine what we would learn if we elevated their courage, their voice, their story, instead of assuming we already knew what they had to say.
When I discovered music, I was completely in awe. I finally found a way to express myself when the words couldn't do. Sometimes it felt as if music was the only way people could understand me. Through music, I am whole, I am me. And because of music, I found a family, I found a tribe, and I found my voice. And the words are caught up, but I still have music as a means to express myself more honestly. So during quarantine, when it's kind of hard to make sense of the world, I reminisced about better times with my sister, and then I wrote a song. What better way to share my story, my voice, than through music? Here's a tune that I wrote, and it is called Lumière de la Lune.
Thank you.